Aliens abduct twin sisters.
They have removed eggs from me and planted embryos in me. They're using my body to incubate the beginning stages of the hybrids.
A tiny troll that lures its victims.
This creature looked right at me. It just appeared to be friendly, but if you buy into the Puckwudgie myths, that's how they get you. They snap you up.
A demon that threw a town into fear.
The witnesses in those 2 nights in 1977 were students together at the same high school. They were coming back from a party when they saw something on the side of the road, something that doesn't resemble any animal that anybody has ever seen before.
For the first time, one of those witnesses comes forward to share her story.
When I looked into the eyes of the Dover demon, I felt like a terrifying connection with the eyes, that it was like looking right through me, right into my soul.
In Massachusetts, just 20 miles inland from Plymouth Rock, lays a massive, impenetrable bog. The Hockomock Swamp. 16,000 acres of marshland, defying attempts to build there, harboring mysteries. In the original Native American language, it means an evil, hellish place.
Even the Native Americans told the first white settlers to be cautious in the swamp, that it is a very special, mysterious, and dangerous place.
Not 500 yards from where we're sitting, that looks like primordial soup. So thick you can almost walk across the water, and you don't even have to be divine to do it, because the water's that thick and that soupy, and it's green and slimy. Just looking on that is scary.
And for unlucky wanderers in the swamp, one particular fiend remains a vicious threat.
The Puckwudgie, just saying their name around here, anybody who's familiar with the legend knows you're talking about a nasty little creature.
According to Native American lore, Puckwudgies labor under a curse. They can't directly attack their prey. So, they've learned to entice them.
Puckwudgie used to be a rather friendly little harmless creature, but at one point they became very upset with both man and the creator God. And since then, the Puckwudgies had been something to avoid. They seem to like to lure people deeper into the forest. Hey, come here and check this out. And then before you know it, I've never heard of anyone having a friendly encounter with a Puckwudgie.
Retired ironworker Bill Russo lived in a home in Raynham, Massachusetts, built next to the Hockomock Swamp. He never believed the stories about dangerous creatures until he met one.
I've heard many stories of bizarre happenings in this area. I can't confirm or deny any of that. I can only tell you what I saw one night after work.
One night in 1995, Bill and his dog Sam went out on their walk around 1 a.m.
Sam and I were very close, and she was my best friend. That night, we cut through my backyard, and we went into the deep woods by the swamps. We never felt uneasy. We never thought anything was going to pop out of the bushes. And suddenly Sam started pulling at the leash, trying to get home quickly, trying to run home. I said, Sam, what's the matter? Sam, what's the matter? She just kind of cried, quivering. She was frightened. And Sam was not a dog that frightened easily. Something was scaring her. And then I began to hear something. It was faint at first. Here, here. Achoo! And I heard this bizarre talk, but I didn't see anything. Just then, this 3 to 4 foot creature walked into the circle of light and just so confidently beckoned me, "Here, here." Looked right at me. I didn't know what it was. Possibilities started going through my mind. It's a kid dressed up for Halloween. And then I realized that's no toddler. This thing didn't look like a beaver, it didn't look like a muskrat, it didn't look like a fox, it didn't look like a bear. All of those things we've seen here in the Hockomock Swamp area, we've got those things. It was none of those things. Just appeared to be friendly, but if you buy into the Puckwudgie myths, that's how they get you. And then they snap you up.
They are not little, innocent little creatures that live side by side with the Native Americans in this area. They've become somewhat of a little monster, a little terror.
The Puckwudgie are small, no more than 3 to 4 feet tall. But according to legend, their powers are impressive.
They have a reputation of using balls of light to lead you further and further into the woods just to get you lost, or maybe to have some real nasty fun and make you walk off a cliff.
Avoiding their enticements is the only way to survive an encounter with this trickster troll.
I was scared. If you see something that isn't human in the middle of the night and it talks to you and you're bigger than it, you're still scared. We just made a big circle around it, and we didn't look back.
My father's never been one to be into like ghosts or anything like that, ever. So it was definitely a weird experience hearing him talk about this thing that he saw. He was pretty shooken up about it.
When I get home after the encounter, made a big pot of coffee, kept that coffee company all night. One cup after another, reliving the whole thing. Should I have talked to it? Should I have gone up to it? What was it? What did it say? And here's what it said, my best translation. We want you. We, not me, we, meaning there were more.
Bill has come to believe he narrowly avoided his own death that night.
There is something out in that swamp. We live in an area that used to be all swamp, and it's being filled in, and at some point, they're going to shrink it down to nothing, and things are going to come out.
And I'm not sure many people, even locals who hunt or fish, would really want to go venture in too far and find out exactly what is out there and why.
Andrew Lake should know. He thinks he encountered the same creature Bill Russo met. And Andrew may have managed to come away with photographic evidence.
Little did I know that I would find out the reason why there were so many spirits on the property.
On a night in 2008, Andrew Lake joined a paranormal group exploring the Hockomock Swamp area for ghosts.
It was the New England Ghost Project. They're one of the few groups that actually works with a psychic. Their psychic wanted to see if she could contact any of the Indian spirits that haunt the woods and so on and so forth.
The search was coming up empty when things suddenly changed.
While I was videotaping this, their psychic started thrashing about and acting like she was being attacked.
Her thrashing was so violent, members of the team had to hold her down. Andrew caught the struggle on camera. What he didn't realize in all the confusion, something small and hidden was watching close by. When he was home later that night, Andrew reviewed the videotape. And during the struggle, hovering in the background, a strange face emerges.
Just a simple little video camera, while someone was holding a flashlight, seems to have caught a little creature standing in the blueberry bushes. A freeze frame of that video, in my opinion, shows a tiny little creature that I wonder is could be a Puckwudgie.
Just a few frames of videotape, but a new clue that the legend about Puckwudgie in the Hockomock Swamp might not be just legend.
It's a really unique area. There's nothing like it anywhere else in New England. There are no homes out there, and there never will be. It's too wet, it's too thick, it's too dense. And I think that's why people could believe there could be monsters out there.
If the Hockomock Swamp seems strange, it's only one small part of a larger triangle-shaped territory, crowded with inexplicable phenomena and UFO sightings. The Bridgewater Triangle.
The Bridgewater Triangle definitely has some kind of energy field. I don't know if it's a vortex or a portal for ETs and other interdimensional beings, but there's some reason that these things happen in a small area of New England.
For Bridgewater locals and twin sisters Audrey and Debbie Hewins, daily life resides at an entirely different address than most of us will ever know.
I've always wondered all my life why this would happen to me and my sister. I have no idea why. I mean, it could be random. We could have been prepared for this previous to being here. We moved from Ohio, being innocent children. We moved into the Bridgewater Triangle, and we went down the wrong path.
When they were small children, Debbie and Audrey's father moved their family to Bridgewater, Massachusetts, because he said God told him to. What happened to the twins once they arrived set their lives on a collision course with visitors from another world.
My sister and I shared a bedroom. I remember begging her, stay up, stay awake, they're gonna come. I thought this happened to everyone. But as we got older and we were able to communicate what was going on, we would be told that they're not real, they don't exist, it must be just a dream.
Each night before the twins went to bed, the fear welled up inside. Fear of aliens from outer space.
Good night.
I always had a sense of anxiety, I guess, that they were coming. And then I would start to hear this steady hum, and it kind of gets louder and softer, and it just keeps humming. The room fills with a pale bluish white light. We'd see shadows coming as the light started to envelop the room, and we realized that it wasn't our parents. They're very frightening.
They would hit you with this vibrating paralysis, and then they would elevate you off the bed. You don't even feel like yourself, and there is no control. They can bring you through the window, through the door, or through the ceiling. I don't know how they do it, just to be able to pass through solid objects. I don't know. It's very weird.
My body the whole time was vibrating. I saw a craft above my home and was brought to it slowly.
Each morning, the twins would be back in bed with blurred memories of their time at the hands of the aliens, but with flesh and blood evidence of the trauma they suffered.
I could always see the physical toll it was taking on them. Every couple of months, they'd have some kind of new scrape or bang or cut or slice or mark. You look at them and you'd say, I know your parents ain't doing this to you. What's going on?
I had so many bloody noses as a child, and on the school bus it happened, in school it would happen. I had bloody noses all the time, and they were really severe and for no reason.
I was kind of self-conscious about it because little kids started calling me Debbie Dent because I had 2 little dents in my head. The one over here, there's not only a scar, but on my skull, there's an indentation, like somebody's drilled in my skull. It's about the size of and roundness of a pencil eraser, but it shows up in x-rays, and I don't have an explanation.
The twins had no way to prevent the nightly visits. Their friends had no idea how to help them.
It is a helpless feeling when your friend comes to you and tells you these things are happening, and as a friend, you're powerless. You can love her, you can hug her, but you can't take it away.
Their childhood encounters with the aliens were terrifying. As adults, it would get much worse.
I actually woke up in the middle of the reproductive procedure. I've never been more scared. That was the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
For decades, thousands of Americans have claimed aliens from outer space abducted them. Most report enduring a forced medical examination. Often, it's focused on sex and the reproductive system. The majority experiences the event alone. With Audrey and Debbie Hewins, it was different. The twins were often abducted together. Back on Earth, getting their parents to understand was a different story.
Both my sister and I had journals, and we, do stories about what we remembered and pictures of these beings. And, my mom found the journals one day and, oh, wow, they've got active imaginations. This is amazing. And she would read them and see the pictures.
So my mom would go through my diary and see this and really wonder, what's wrong with my child? My father, when we talked about it, he was very scared. He's very grounded, he never wanted to talk about it. It was taboo.
As adults, Audrey and Debbie started looking for answers, trying to make sense of their UFO encounters.
Audrey and Debbie contacted me through my UFO website. They were afraid, they were frightened, and they were looking for help. What I was certain of right away was that there was more to these experiences than what they were consciously remembering, and it might be possible to unlock some memories of these events. Regression hypnosis is a really controversial procedure. It's used, for instance, in cases of trauma where trauma might cause some memories to be hidden. And under hypnosis, Debbie and Audrey relived the incredibly frightening, incredibly traumatic experiences that they had undergone during the time that they were abducted. For me, as somebody who was there to observe, this stuff was raw, it was real, it was coming from their memory, and it was absolutely frightening.
Hypnosis clarified their traumatic memories, but the abductions continued and grew far more chilling. One night, when Debbie stayed over at Audrey's, the abduction turned violent.
It's getting late. I think I'm gonna head off to bed. Yeah. Okay, don't worry. I'll lock up. Thanks.
When I went to bed that night in 2007, I had no idea what trauma I was going to go through. I woke up to a pressure on the top of my head. I'm laying on my back. I thought I was gonna get killed. I thought it was gonna kill me. It was that aggressive. The only thing that went through my mind was, my sister's gonna go to jail for murder. My neck's broken in her other room, and then like that, I they must have blacked me out.
At the other end of the hallway, Debbie's sister Audrey felt something was wrong.
I had gotten up and I was almost down my hallway. And then I realized that I wasn't running. I was kind of floating, that I wasn't even, really moving. The appearance of my home melted away. I realized that I was in a craft again.
When I came through again, I was not in Audrey's room. My sister, she was there too. It was like a big screen we were behind.
Debbie came in and they put her next to me behind the screen. I heard some noises. There was some light that went over us. They were doing some kind of X-ray or something.
I don't know if people would be able to deal with remembering the whole entire procedure because it's traumatic. They can, make your heart stop. They can control our body movements.
And soon, the twins would know what the aliens intended to do with their bodies.
I could see a bunch of cylinders filled with liquid connected to machines with things suspended. And I looked down, and one appeared to be a gray human hybrid. It looked half and half. It was infant-sized.
Artificial gestation chambers, that's what it was.
At some point, the alien gestation program turned into their worst nightmare.
I was on a table in one of the rooms where they do the reproductive procedures. I actually woke up in the middle of whatever they were doing, so I actually felt a scraping where my ovary would be. I'm panicking, I'm in pain. I've never been more scared. That was the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
When I woke up the next morning, I was sore, confused, and really scared. This is one of the most aggressive encounters that I've had.
Are you okay?
And she opened the door. She's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, you all right?" That kind of just one, didn't say much else. That was it.
After that night, the twins knew they'd been turned into breeders for an alien race.
They have removed eggs from me. They have implanted embryos in me. They've caused so much damage that doctors have said it's unexplained scarring. They can't figure out why. They're using my body to incubate the beginning stages of the hybrids.
And years later, when she was abducted again, Audrey and one of those hybrids would finally meet. Growing up in Massachusetts' Bridgewater Triangle, twin sisters Audrey and Debbie Hewins claim that aliens frequently abducted them. In their late 20s, the twins realized their bodies were being used as surrogate hosts to make alien hybrids. Accounts of reproductive hybrid activities are a new trend in abduction stories. Audrey Hewins has never had a child, at least a human one on Earth. She thinks she may have met one of her hybrid children on an alien ship.
I was on a table in one of the rooms where they do the procedures, and I actually woke up in a room where I was suspended in a gel-like liquid, and it was kind of like a cocoon, except I could see out. When I looked out of the cocoon, there was a small child, probably about 4 or 5. It was in a blue dress with white lace, and it was like a 1800s style clothing. She was definitely a hybrid. She had a very large head with little sprigs of hair coming out, but mostly bald and really big eyes. She looked half human and half gray. And she looked at me, and she was definitely someone I had a connection with. And there was just some kind of, I know you. We just had that bond. It was strange. I definitely felt like I had either a relationship with her or she was mine.
The twins maintain the alien gestation program continues, with thousands of humans serving as reproductive slaves.
They've been doing it through family lines for many generations. I don't know if they're creating a different human,
If they're trying to make a new species, or
if they're supplanting the human race.
or just introduce their genes into our bloodlines.
I don't know.
I wish I had the answers. It gets pretty creepy.
Over time, the twins have met hundreds of others who've suffered similar forms of extraterrestrial torture.
And it's not just women, they're using men too. Except obviously not impregnating men, but removing the, the material that they need.
At one point, the twins were able to meet one of these men, someone with whom they had shared an abduction encounter.
Much else to do.
In 1997, my brother's band was playing at this club.
Hey, Jamal.
So we go into this club, and I looked over, and I saw this man back there, and I said, oh my, that is the guy that we met on the ship. One time I was taken aboard by a gray, put into a room with my sister. We were both sitting in a small rounded room, and the door opened, and another couple of grays came in with this man.
Are you okay?
And it's all I can remember, and I never thought twice about it. I didn't know who he was.
The man Audrey and Debbie recognized was Matt Moniz. A regular abductee, Matt lives just 22 miles from where Debbie and Audrey experienced their most intense alien abductions.
I met Audrey and Debbie. I was brought to this, I'll call it a craft for lack of a better term. And I remember being brought through a doorway, and I remember talking to them and them talking to me.
Are you okay?
I think so. I just wish I knew what they were doing.
That's the guy.
Yeah, that is him.
We need to go talk to him.
We walked right over to him. We said, hey, and he looked up.
Do you remember us? We met like 10 years ago?
Yeah, oh my god, yeah.
How are you?
I discovered that this is not unusual or not uncommon. Plenty of other experiencers and abductees have run into each other in experiences and then run into each other in what we'll call stark reality, what we exist in here.
A hotspot for these sorts of experiences is the Bridgewater Triangle.
I don't know if it's a vortex. I don't know if there's a base there, but there's some reason that these things happen in a small area of New England.
Just a few miles north of the triangle's borders, an entirely different sort of monstrous creature appeared, then vanished as quickly as it arrived. It's left a trail of questions ever since. Now, for the first time in over 30 years, one of the original witnesses comes forward, sharing her story.
When I saw the Dover Demon, I had no idea that this was something that would follow me around the rest of my life.
Just 20 miles outside of Boston, the sleepy town of Dover, Massachusetts.
Driving through Dover, it's not hard to understand how people could believe that there would be some kind of a monster there. At twilight, Dover does have kind of a creepy feeling.
As far as anyone knew, Dover wasn't the kind of place invaded by otherworldly creatures. At least it wasn't until 1977.
The nights of April 21st and April 22nd, 1977 were absolutely bizarre for the town of Dover. Nights the likes of which the town had never seen before and probably will never see again.
My husband at the time was police chief in Dover. He had to interview a whole bunch of people that had come in and wanted to hunt this Dover demon, want gun permits.
All of the witnesses were frightened. I think it really shook them to the core.
April 1977. 3 separate sightings over 2 nights, each one along Dover's dark wooded roads.
You're not gonna believe what I just saw last night.
What is that?
I saw this 2 nights ago.
That doesn't look right.
All 3 witnesses were teenagers attending the local high school. Each of them saw something they couldn't explain. Something so bizarre, they felt compelled to capture it in quickly drawn sketches.
No way, I've seen this.
When did you see this?
This doesn't make sense.
This is weird. I don't.
April 21st, 1977. An ordinary Thursday night.
It was about 10:30 at night, and 17-year-old Bill Bartlett was with friends coming back from a party that they'd been to. They were driving down Farm Street when Bill Bartlett saw something on the side of the road. What he saw was something that doesn't resemble any animal that anybody has ever seen before. It was climbing along a broken down stretch of stone wall. And as he looked at it, it turned to look at him. He was absolutely terrified. Its head was about the same size as its body. It was really huge. It had no visible mouth, no nose, no ears, but it had 2 huge eyes, glowing orange. They were round, and Bill said they looked just like glass marbles. His friends were engaged in conversation. They didn't see it. He traveled down the road and stopped the car and told his friends what he had seen.
Did you guys just see that? Dude, there was just something right there. His head was huge. Let's go check it out. Let's go back over there.
They all wanted to go back and see if they could see it for themselves, so they turned around and they drove back to the place where he'd seen the thing. And they were too afraid to get out of the car. They didn't see it again.
Dude, I'm getting out of here.
He only saw it for about 6 seconds, but he later said, that moment when your eyes meet, that's something that you don't forget.
If Bill Bartlett thought it might have been a mirage or a hallucination, by the next day in school, his doubts disappeared.
No way, I've seen this.
When did you see this?
He learned that a classmate, John Baxter, was out that night as well, and less than a mile away, he too saw the monster.
John Baxter had an encounter with what became known as the Dover Demon only a couple of hours after Bill Bartlett had had his encounter. John Baxter was walking home from his girlfriend's house. It was 12:30 in the morning. It was dark. He saw something walking towards him on the road. At first, he thought that it was a friend of his who lived nearby, but as he got closer, he realized it couldn't be his friend. It was too small. Now, he's looking at this thing as it's coming closer to him, and he's calling out to it. Who is that? Who's there? It wasn't getting an answer. He took a step towards it, and suddenly, it ran incredibly quickly into the woods on the left-hand side of the road. He could hear it as it ran through the trees and bushes, and he followed it. He actually stumbled down an embankment, jumped across a little stream, and now he's looking at this thing that is in the tree line about 25 feet away. He could see its fingers wrapped around the tree. It was very small, the size of a small child, but it had a huge head and eyes that glowed white as he looked. He realized he didn't know what he was looking at. And then he starts to feel like this thing is ready to jump. He turned around and ran right back up the embankment back to the road, and he didn't look back.
2 sightings, 2 encounters with a living, breathing creature that simply made no sense. But this mystery wasn't over. One last Dover teenager would cross paths with the demon.
When I looked into the eyes of the Dover Demon, I felt like a terrifying connection. That it was like looking right through me, right into my soul.
The sightings remain one of the most intriguing in the annals of American monsters. For 2 nights in April 1977, in sleepy Dover, Massachusetts, 3 residents had frightening encounters, one after the other, with a mysterious creature. John Baxter was the second resident to come face to face with the Dover Demon.
He became very frightened. What is this thing? He's thinking, what could this be? Maybe it's a monkey or... And then he starts to feel like this thing is ready to jump. This thing is maybe planning its next move. So he turned around and ran right back up the embankment back to the road, and he didn't look back.
John Baxter ran home that night, not knowing that just hours before, and less than a mile away, a schoolmate, Bill Bartlett, had seen the same strange creature. And the demon's reign of terror wasn't done. Less than 24 hours later, 15-year-old Abby Brabham and her boyfriend were on one of Dover's wooded roads. Nearly 4 decades after that fateful night, she shares her story.
I was just hanging out at my boyfriend's house. We were just watching a movie. It was about midnight when my boyfriend drove me home. We drove that road all the time. We were driving down the road. It was a clear night. It was not raining or anything. There's no doubt in my mind what I saw that night. I saw it out my window on the right-hand side by the edge of the road. What caught my attention first was the head and the eyes, because the eyes were actually looking right at me, kind of piercing at me, is what kind of scared me more than anything. To me, at first, it kind of looked like a monkey. It was crouched over in the road, but its head, which looked up at me, was like a big watermelon-type head. And the skin was kind of a different color skin. It was like a tannish skin, not like a hairy animal. My first reaction was, let's get out of here. I've never seen anything like that in my life. My boyfriend got a quick glimpse of it. He did see the unusual head and the eyes that I saw, but he did not, obviously because he was driving, get as closer look as I did at it.
3 separate sightings. 3 very similar descriptions of a mysterious creature, neither human nor animal. Once word leaked out, the tiny New England town went wild with speculation and fear.
There was a lot of hysteria in the town for a little while there. People were like thinking they were gonna go kill it.
The town's hysteria was enhanced when Bill Bartlett, John Baxter, and Abby Brabham each drew pictures of the creature they saw.
No way, I've seen this.
When did you see this?
We'd all looked at each other's pictures, and that's when I was like, wow, that's what I saw.
There were suggestions that this thing was maybe a deliberate hoax, that the descriptions of it were influenced by the descriptions of the creature Gollum in the book Lord of the Rings.
A lot of people thought we all maybe had gotten together and made this up, which was not true.
My husband said that the kids were good kids. They never got into trouble in the town where the police department was involved with them or anything.
No doubt in my mind what I saw that night. I'll probably go to my grave knowing that I saw something different, and I'm not sure what it is, but it was definitely a creature that was not normal.
The Dover Demon case remains one of the most mysterious of the past 50 years. A classic cryptid tale. 3 separate encounters, each witness left profoundly disturbed. An entire town looking for answers ever since.
In my heart, I believe it was something. It keeps rearing its head. The first sighting was in '77, and we're still talking about it. They could never prove there was a Dover demon, but they could never disprove it either.
There's definitely forces out there that are watching us and that are not of this earth.
There's something out there. I don't know from where, and I'm not sure what it is, but there definitely is something out there.